if Adam and Eve didn't sin, would we be here? Is that it? All right. If Adam and Eve didn't sin, would we be here? What do you think?
That's why we told him to ask you.
Say what?
That's why we told him to ask you.
That's what my wife's answer is to everything Jason asks. Just ask Bill. Don't ask me because I have no clue.
We need to put his number on speed dial so we can just call him.
He's got email now. We need to just send him
gosh.
I had a woman tell me one time, or I had a man tell me one time in Sunday school in Lake Creek Church. He said, sex was the fruit of the tree, and if they hadn't participated in that fruit, it would just be Adam and Eve and God, and the rest of us wouldn't be here. I've heard that a couple times. So it's a very valid question. There are people that really preach that if Adam and Eve hadn't eaten of the fruit of the tree or had sex, then we wouldn't be here. What do you think?
But God made Eve for Adam, and she was supposed to be a helper to him, and they were supposed to, I guess, be in love and friendly. I mean, and that's just the nature of, I mean, we're an animal just like anything else, so I guess it would be only natural to breed, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Anybody else?
Doesn't it say that now when God said now when you have child you will have pain? So I mean they're going to have children anyhow. They had the right parts. I mean, come on,
Yeah, it
was
wasn't yeah. Before, but since they sinned, that's one thing he will put.
Well, let's let the Bible answer it. Okay. We can debate it forever. Let's see what God has to say about it. Genesis chapter 1. Verse 26. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image and our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful, multiply, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it, rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky and every living creature that moves on the ground. So, if Adam and Eve hadn't sinned, would we still be here? Yeah, because even before they sinned, his command was what? Be fruitful and multiply. So we'd be here. We'd be here. There would be a lot more of us because nobody would have ever died. But back then, the whole earth was productive. There weren't any deserts, there weren't any mountains. And the consequences of sin hadn't caused pollution and all that. And there would be plenty of food, and God would have. And he may even, he built 7 planets for some reason. If we hadn't sinned, he may have colonized those with some of us. I mean, the whole plan was different back then. Everything was productive and everything was fruitful. And then we came along and sinned and polluted it and messed it up. Caused major differences how do we know that every square inch of earth was productive and that there weren't any deserts and there weren't any ice caps and all that? How do we know that's true?
It says in here somewhere that the earth had plants and animals over everything.
Yeah,
basically doesn't.
It indicates that, but it doesn't say it's specific enough for the science community. You know,
Yeah, and now we get on politically correct.
Yeah, it's vague enough that we can debate it, but there is proof in science that it's true. Do you know what that is?
Fossils.
Huh?
Fossils.
Fossils is number one. What's number two? Number two is, no matter where you go, if you drill a core sample of the earth, if you go down far enough, you're going to find a layer of coal. And where does coal come from?
Swamps, dead creatures and plants.
Specifically, yeah, you're right, but specifically rainforest vegetation. And so Antarctica at one time was covered by a rainforest, which is one of the most productive, one of the biggest ecostructures there are. So if you find coal at Antarctica and in the Arctic Circle, if you drill down and find coal there, you know at one time that was a rainforest. And you can find a layer of coal at different depths and at different thicknesses. You can find a layer of coal anywhere you drill a core sample, anywhere on the earth. So at one point in time, science has proved that even in the Sahara Desert, you find that layer of coal if you go down and drill deep enough. Okay? So science itself proves that at one point in time, every square inch of the earth was a lush, productive, green, providing environment that people could feed off of and that would sustain life. Amen or no me? Amen. Okay, we'll answer these printout next week. Just leave it laying there. We'll answer next week. All right, Proverbs chapter 14. So, is that what Ethan wanted?
Yep.
Just go to the Bible and see what it says.
Hey, babe. Tell me
I went to that during that Sunday school class when we were in Sunday school, and he had made a big deal out of it. And he looked at me and he said, "Well, you just had to make me look like a fool, didn't you?" Now you made yourself look like a fool. I just answered your question. All righty, stay away from a fool. We did that one. 8 is the wisdom gives thought to their ways. They think things through. Okay, and we're at 9. Number 9.
Fools mock at making amends for sin, but goodwill is found among the upright.
All right. Why do fools mock making amends for sin? What's it mean they mock it? Or they mock making amends? Have you ever heard one do it?
Does it mean trying to have you look away from their sin?
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. That's one point. They do it so that you won't look at them and condemn them and judge them for it. And what else? There's another one comes to mind for me. They won't give it up. They like it. For them, it's fun. In James chapter 1, it says, when we are led astray by temptation, it is because of the own evil desires of our heart. We do it because we want to. I get mad at Janice because I am in the mood, or out of the mood, and usually I look back and I think, that wasn't, I got up last night and she'd left a drawer open on the dresser. I got a big Band-Aid on my shin right here. And I thought, nah, not gonna heal my shin. I just shut the drawer. Then this morning I got up and I said, we have any Band-Aid? Yeah, she brought me one and I put it on my chin and she said, how'd you do that? I said, somebody left a drawer open. So I didn't really give it up, did I? I still had to say it. I had to say it. And you think it accomplished anything? No, you know, it still hurts just as bad right now. I did what I did. It didn't fix nothing. We do it because we want to. But goodwill is found among the upright. Upright meaning righteous. Okay. People who have the righteousness of Jesus Christ have an enabled conscience that will allow them to see the consequences of the sin and encourage them to turn away. Will they always turn away? Any of you sin this week? You're going to hell, right? Now, you immediately felt the guilt and eventually you repented and God's forgiveness took hold and you're back in the victory. Or you will be tomorrow if you go ahead and do that. 10.
Each heart knows its own bitterness, and no one else can share its joy.
Is that true? Can you share my joy? Can I share my joy with you?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you, if, so she's the queen? Or she was just in the,
Mini Miss Queen.
Persimmon Festival.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mackenzie was a Persimmon Festival Mini Miss
Well, I would have guessed it.
Queen. She's famous.
Okay, if, who enjoys the joy of victory at a football game? The kid on the field or me in the stands watching?
Well,
Depends on how old they are.
Yeah.
Whether
Or
they're
if I'm
little
related
parents.
to
On the field that was enjoying his win, or the other one that lost?
I'm sorry?
I said, was you rooting for the kid that was enjoying his win, or the one that lost?
You know, I can be happy for them, but can I have the joy of the victory?
No.
No, if your kid was not on the team that won, no.
Can I have the joy of the victory that's something I did not participate in? I can be happy for them, but is the joy of the victory mine?
No,
No.
the joy of Kenzie's victory was not mine. The joy was for her, but it was not mine. So no, the joy, you cannot have joy for
Yeah,
the
exactly right. Exactly right.
I walked in perfect time.
We can be happy for them, and we can jump up and down, and we can feel proud. But the victory belongs to the participant, the one that goes down on the field and takes the hits and fights through it. You know, I can feel sorry for you if you're neck deep in alligators and trying to get to shore, and I can even throw you a rope, and I can give you advice. But when you climb out on that shore and look back and know you won that battle, you can testify to it, you can share your victory with me, but the joy of that victory is uniquely yours. There's a whole bunch of people in this world that try to live off the accomplishments of their kids. And you can see them in the stands. You know, maybe they didn't make the team, but my son did, and they push them and they push them and they push them, and they make them do things that I remember. There was a girl there in town whose mother pushed her to be in all the beauty contests and pushed her to be into this and into that. The kid was miserable and the mother was happy, and the mother was walking around with the ribbons and bragging and this and that and the other, and the kid sitting over in the corner unhappy, a miserable kid, because she didn't want to do that. And I told my kids, I said, if you want to play basketball, if you want to play volleyball, if you want to do that, I'll be to as many games as I can possibly be to. And if you start the season, you have to finish. But if you don't want to do it the second year, that's okay with me. I mean, do what you want to do. And I was always athletic. I mean, I was on every softball team and everything that they offered. And, you know, my one daughter was really athletic and she was really good at it. My other daughter tried to compete with her and she kind of walked like a duck. And she just was not coordinated and couldn't do it. And, you know, she tried it a couple years, and then she asked Janice, she said, will Dad be mad if I don't play softball? And Janice said, well, you'll have to ask him. And I told her no. I said, you're great at music, you're great on the stage and drama, you're great at, you're artistic, you have all kinds of gifts and talents. She won a grand champion at the state for cake decorating, at the state. But when it came to softball, I would just rather she'd have stayed at home because it was embarrassing. She had tried so hard and didn't have an athletic bone in her body. And she was afraid I'd love Heather more than I loved her because she couldn't play softball, and I did. What?
Oh, nothing.
Same thing at your house?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my little boy, he just don't, I
He
mean, he
tries.
tries his hardest, but he don't like it, and he just don't, he's just not, he ain't, I mean, he's built for it, but he ain't coordinated enough for it.
But a lot of parents would push him and push him and push him because they love football. And that's fine for me if I love football, but it's not fine for him if I make him do something that he's not equipped, gifted, or wants to do. You're just making your kid miserable. And a lot of people do that. No one else can share in their joy because they're the ones that accomplished it. We can be proud, we can be happy, but I can't say that's the most beautiful wedding cake I've ever decorated because I didn't do it. I didn't do it. The victory's not mine. 11.
The house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent of the upright will flourish.
Okay, what scope of time does this verse cover?
Long time ago.
Okay.
No,
Future.
not
Yeah,
necessarily.
it covers a long time ago.
And now.
Not now?
I said, and now.
And now. Okay. Is it always going to happen in your lifetime? That
No.
all your rewards will be achieved and you will flourish? Will it always happen on this earth?
No.
No, some of your rewards are stored up in heaven. You know, there are people like Mother Teresa. If you looked at her and saw the life she lived and how little she had and what she was worth when she died, can you say she died a rich woman,
Yes.
Mother Teresa?
Yes.
Huh?
Rich in spiritual
Rich in spirit, but I'm talking about monetary worth. Did she have a big mansion on the hill in this life? No. How about next life? Yeah, she's walking around on streets of gold, and she might have the biggest mansion on that street, and she deserves it. I'd just like to have a little log cabin with an outhouse sitting off in the corner somewhere and make it through the gate. Okay, that'll work. That'll work for me.
Sleep on the lawn.
And do you think I'll be jealous of Mother Teresa when I get there and see her great mansion and my little log cabin with an outhouse? Do you think I'll be?
No, there's no jealousy in heaven. But if there was, no. There's no jealousy in heaven. But if there was, then no, you would be jealous and be happy for it.
Yeah. We're going to be so happy for each other. There's not going to be any of those sins in heaven. Why? Because Satan's not going to be there and the temptation comes from him. We're going to be free of him, so we'll be free of the temptation to envy or to hate or to steal or to be jealous or any of that stuff. Now, to an extent, this is true on earth. God does prosper his children. He does. But thank God that a lot of our rewards are stored up in heaven and waiting for our arrival. Do you think you know what all your rewards are going to be? Do you think when you get there you're going to be surprised that your mansion's going to be as big as it?
Big or smaller than you think? Maybe smaller than you think.
Honestly, my entire life, I've never even thought of gifts or riches or rewards in heaven. I always looked at it as going to heaven is a reward for me. I've never, honestly, ever thought about anything like that, going to heaven, ever.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Do you know who Billy Sunday was? He was Billy Graham of 1900. Okay. He was the big evangelist at 1900. And he could stand on a stage and talk to 5,000 people and they could all hear him. He had his big, booming voice. And millions of people found Christ through Billy Sunday. Billy Sunday was brought to Christ by an old man who taught Sunday school in some little town out in Kansas or someplace. And when this old guy, he was a shoe salesman. And when he was lying on his deathbed and people were comforting, he looked up at his wife and he said, I dread coming before the throne of God because I am 85 years old and I only have one soul to present to him. Little Billy. What do you think happened when he got to heaven? And he started apologizing for only having one soul to present to heaven.
He had thousands.
God looked down and said, oh no, there were millions. Because he also, I believe, got credit for all of Billy Sundays, for preparing him, for teaching him, for getting him ready to go out and bring billions into the fold of God. And when he got there, you have no idea what you're going to say today that'll change a life 20 years from now. I used to go to Oklahoma and preach to all these little Indian kids, and they were a bunch of little heathens. You know? And every once in a while I would see one of them on the street and they'd be a deacon in a Baptist church, or they'd be doing this or they'd be doing that. And some of them were even preachers. And it was really interesting because when I was preaching the sermons from the pulpit and trying to get them to listen and knowing they weren't hearing a word I said, 20 years later they could tell me every sermon I preached and about the little mouse and about the snake and the one about the popcorn, and they remembered every single sermon I preached to them, and they would spit them back to me, and they heard every single word I said. Didn't act like it, but 20 years later there were Christians and ministers in churches and whatever, and I would have shook my head and said nobody was listening. And the truth of the matter is, the Holy Spirit planted every seed I sowed in their hearts. Every one. And a lot of them found Christ. Not every one of them, but a lot of them found Christ, and I didn't have it.
You're talking to your husband, and you're talking to your husband, and he's watching TV or whatever, and then you say, "Did you hear what I just said?" "Yeah." "What did I say?" "You heard everything you said." "How did he just do that?"
Yeah, they rattle back. You know, not only is that wonderful, but it's also a little scary because they hear everything I say when I'm in a bad mood too. And they grow up to be just like us. You watch Ethan walk across the floor, and then you watch his dad walk across the floor, and they got the same stride, and he has grown up to be just like you, Jordan. He's a spitting image of you.
We always called him Benny Jordan.
That can be good, and
That could be bad.
that could be bad. The little eyes are watching you. Be careful. All right.